So if you don't know what ranked choice voting is and what all of this is about, the New York Times explained it actually in about the best and simplest language that I've heard for how ranked choice voting actually works or is supposed to work. They noted, this will be Maine's first election using ranked choice voting, which voters approved in 2016. Under this system, also known as instant runoff voting, voters rank the candidates in order of preference. If no candidate receives a majority of the first place votes, the last place candidate's votes are then redistributed to his or her voters' next choices. And then they count again until someone, and see if someone gets a majority, breaks 50% at that point. If they don't, then they take out whoever came in last in that count and redistribute their votes until they get one candidate with 50%. As they noted on their election results page, AP was only going to call winners for the first round of tabulation under this system. If additional rounds were required to determine a winner, final results would not be available for a few days, because that's how confusing this is and how long it takes to oversee and count and so on and so forth. Now, I know that many listeners and progressives out there, a lot of also third-party folks, libertarians, Green Party, they like RCV, and I am sympathetic to the reason that they are sympathetic to it. For one, it helps to eliminate that spoiler effect. For one, the fear of voting for a third-party candidate because it'll result in someone like Paul LePage winning the election, which has now happened twice in Maine. Many would like to see ranked choice voting so that they could, for example, vote for a Jill Stein for president or Ralph Nader in a third party. But they would mark the Democrat or the Republican as their second choice under ranked choice voting. Right now, many people are afraid to vote for third party because they think it'll throw the election to someone they really, really hate. But if you speak to voters and candidates where ranked choice voting has been used in the past, many of them are wildly confused about how it actually works or doesn't. I have spoken with candidates who have run for office under the system who have no idea how they actually lost their race. There are cases where candidates that did not even win a plurality of the first choice end up winning office. I think I saw one case where someone who came in last in the first count or something like that, or near last, ended up winning the race. It's very confusing. And, it also, by the way, requires central tabulation computers. It can't be tallied at the precinct. You have to get all the ballots together in one place to figure this out. And it's almost impossible for the public to oversee because the computers have to figure out all of the numbers.
And if you cannot watch a computer tallying a ballot inside the computer, you can't really oversee it.
You can't oversee.
You can't tell if the computer counted it correctly.
And that's the problem that we have with the way we do it in most places currently. You can't see it. The public fights to make sure that the computers counted it correctly. And now you're going to add all of this crazy algebra? That's nuts. Like I say, always, if we can't add 1 + 1 + 1 now, to the point where we have one disputed election after another, just wait until ranked choice voting catches on, as many progressives would like to see. Of course, those are many of the same folks, the very same folks, by the way, who also wanted touchscreen voting systems after the 2000 presidential election. So, what some want for short-term political gain or reform may not be all that well thought out. So I'm just throwing that warning here. And now I am nothing if not willing to compromise on things, help everyone get along. So to that end, I always recommend that folks look at the alternative called approval voting, which is much simpler. People can just vote yes or no for as many candidates as they like. The one with the most yes votes win. Simple.
And that's called, again,
approval voting. You can look it up at Wikipedia, but it's simple. You just vote for as many people as you like. Whoever gets the most votes win. It's easy to count. It's easy to oversee. Doesn't require computers. It can be hand counted. It doesn't require crazy math. It allows you to vote for your third party choice and anybody else you like without the risk of the spoiler effect and so forth. So anyway, I'm not advocating for approval voting, but I'm offering it out there as an acceptable workable compromise to those who are pushing for ranked choice voting or instant runoff voting. And yes, I'm still furious and disappointed that I am being forced to agree with Paul LePage on this, just that very narrow point.